Today we're going to add on to our factoring what we call a difference of squares. If we have a squared minus b squared. Remember, difference means subtraction, so it has to be a subtraction in order for you to factor it. If it's a sum of squares, so if this is an addition sign, it does not factor the same way. So this only works if you're subtracting two perfect squares. A squared minus b squared factors into a plus b times a minus b. So let's show you how some of that works. If we take a look at example 1, the same rule still applies for rule number 1. Look to see if we have a greatest common factor. So between 1 and 9, we don't. Since there's only two things here instead of three, we're looking to see if we have a difference of squares. First thing we look for or check for is that there's a subtraction sign, which there is. And then we have to decide if these two things that we are subtracting are perfect squares. Remember, a perfect square is something multiplied by itself. So x squared is a perfect square. It comes from x times x. 9 is also a perfect square. It comes from 3 times 3. So that tells us that we can factor this into x plus 3 times x minus 3. Looking back up here, remember, whatever number is being squared minus whatever number is being squared, those are what goes in the parentheses. 3 is the number being squared to get 9, and x is the number being squared to get x squared. And that's it. Those are your factors. Let's take a look at letter B. We have 4x squared minus 25. Again, we should recognize we have two things here instead of three. Then we look for a greatest common factor. Can we take out something between 4 and 25? And no, we can't. There's nothing we can divide them by. Since it is subtraction, we're going to think about, are these perfect squares? Well, 4 is a perfect square. It comes from 2 times 2. X, again, is a perfect square. It comes from x times x. And 25 is a perfect square. It comes from 5 times 5. So we can factor this. Remember, 4x squared is coming from 2x times 2x. And 25 is coming from 5 times 5. And we just need opposite signs to factor that. Let's take a look at letter C. Letter C, we have x squared plus 16. We recognize there's two things instead of three, so we're looking for that difference of squares. But the first thing you should notice is there's a plus sign in here. Once we just have a plus sign and only two factors, unless there's a greatest common factor, we can't do anything here. And since there is no greatest common factor, this problem, we would say, is not factorable. And finally, we're going to go and look at letter D. 8x squared minus 128. First thing we're looking for is a greatest common factor, which we have. Both 8 and 128 are divisible by 8. So we can take the 8 out in front. And then we're left with x squared minus 16. 128 divided by 8, that's where that 16 is coming from. Then we can look on the inside of the parentheses. We have two terms. We have an x squared, it is subtraction, and we have a 16. Both of these are perfect squares, which tells us we can continue on. Don't forget to carry the 8, the greatest common factor, down, as that needs to be in your answer. X squared comes from x times x, and 16 comes from 4 times 4. And then remember, we just need opposite signs. Next, I'd like you to do a few on your own. So let's take a look at the try this. You can pause it now, unpause it when you're ready to check your answer. If you did number 1 correctly, you should have gotten 4x times x plus 2 times x minus 2. If you did number 4 correctly, number 2 correctly, you should have gotten 3 times 7x plus 6 times 7x minus 6. And if you did number 3 correctly, you should have said that this is not factorable. If you have any questions, let me know.